hyperbole. Is that in Central Louisiana? I'm just joking. Thanks, Nick. Best of luck to Huntville at Ruston this coming Friday night. Our next speaker is in his second year as the head basketball coach at Tulane University. Played 15 years in the NBA in outstanding fashion before serving as a head coach on the NBA level of the Los Angeles Lakers, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Los Angeles Clippers, where he also served as general manager. His Tulane basketball team has vastly improved. They beat LSU in an exhibition. They're now 2-0 after a resounding win over Southeastern last night. And if you haven't seen them, I advise you do so, because they're a much improved basketball team, much better players. And it's no surprise given his pedigree. It was a real fortune and blessing for Tulane to land him when they did as their head basketball coach. Green Wave will next face Colorado State, somewhere not too close to here, Jamaica, I do believe, coming up this Friday afternoon. So he's got a little trip to make. He's accustomed to that. It's great to have him with us here today. Please give a warm quarterback club welcome to Coach Mike Dunleavy of the Tulane Green Wave.
Well, it's nice to be here. Thank you all for coming, and congratulations to you high school student athletes on your great achievements, and good luck going forward. People ask me why Tulane, and about 2.5 years ago, I decided to look at the college ranks because I've been in the NBA coaching for 20 years, and as you get older in your career as an NBA coach, the opportunities, to coach good teams become tougher and tougher. And I had been with the Los Angeles Clippers, and I, went in there as the worst, kind of franchise in NBA history, and drafted 3 All-Stars there. Chris Kaman, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and we raised the team up to where they're now a perennial playoff team. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a nut job for an owner, as it's been pretty well documented, and which he had done 4 other times before I took the job. Every now and then he just gets a wild hair and he decides, well, I'm not going to pay the coach. And so I was coaching general manager, and all of a sudden this came out of nowhere. And most of those guys will, settle for millions less on the dollar because of a protracted, legal battle, etc. Fortunately I was in a better position to fight it and won, but I was out of the game for 2 years while I was doing it. And while I was sitting there, when I came back, I was with the group trying to buy the New Orleans Pelicans, and we actually had the team. And on the last day, an investment banker advised the group to lower their bid by like $10 million, which I couldn't figure out. The math didn't work for me, and we lost it to Mr. Benson. But while I was here, I got to meet a lot of people in town, but my brother-in-law and sister-in-law both went to Tulane. So born here and raised here, and I've been coming here every year since 1977, my rookie year in the NBA. So I got to know New Orleans pretty well. And when we lost the bid for the Pelicans, I tried for a couple of the really good teams in the NBA, and I didn't get the job. And the jobs that were available were really bad teams. And I just looked at it, I said, with my age, if I get a 4 or 5 year deal and I don't do well, I'm in no man's land. And so I said, I don't want to be in my mid-60s and not be coaching. And so I started looking at the college game because I figured I could find the right spot, I could go there, and I could be there for the next 10 or 15 years. And so I was looking at a couple other jobs, and I had been through search firms in New York, Atlanta, Dallas, and let them know that I was really serious about this. But a guy named Fran Fraschilla, who writes for ESPN, I was interested actually in the TCU job, and he wrote a piece on it, and I asked him about it. I said, well, how accurate are the names you put out there? He goes, no, just usual suspects. I have no inside information on getting a job. He said, why? And I said, well, I'm interested in TCU. My wife is from Fort Worth, and I know all the people there. And so he said, well, wow, I didn't realize you were interested in college basketball. Would you have any interest in Tulane or St. Louis? And I said, why is that? He goes, well, my friend is leading the search for those schools, and he would die to have you, And I said, well, yeah, Tulane. I'd be very interested in Tulane, because to me it was really about lifestyle, about going someplace that I would enjoy living, where I know I would, like to be. And I knew the university pretty well, having been here, and gorgeous campus, great facilities, and a town that I could see myself living in for 10 to 15 years. So I said, yeah. So I met with him the next day, and the day after that, he put me on the phone with Troy Dannon. And then the next week, I was up at the Big East tournament because my middle son Baker, played at Villanova, played for a year in Europe, worked on Wall Street for 3 years, took like a huge pay cut to become an assistant coach at Villanova, become the associate head coach, and they won a national championship 2 years ago. And basically, between my time off and spending time with my son Baker and Jay Wright at Villanova, and I was over at SMU with Larry Brown, and I just said, God, I love teaching these kids, and so I knew this was the right deal. So Troy flew up to the Big East tournament. We met up there, and literally we had a deal done in less than a week. So I came in last year and took over a team that I would say didn't have a lot of talent on the team. So it was a big rebuilding program. But I felt like last year that if you look at our last 10 games of the season, that our team really improved a great deal. Matter of fact, we played Southeast Louisiana last night. We played them last year. When I went back over to film for last year's game, I was like, who are those guys? I mean, I couldn't believe how bad we were. But the last 10 games of the season, where we had worked, 20 games of, new system, and guys are starting to get familiar. And that's not how you keep score, but the last 10 games of the season, we outscored our opponents. And so the two things I came in with last year trying to do was, one, play at a fast pace. Everything I do is basically NBA. People said, what's the change from the NBA to college? I said, nothing for me. I do everything I did at the NBA level right here. The expectations are pretty much the same as far as what we do and how we do it, conditioning all the way down the line. And so we wound up playing at the fastest pace of anybody in our league. And I didn't know we could do that. I just wanted to play at a fast pace, but we did that. And I said we wanted to improve players. And at the end of last year, our player Cam Reynolds was picked as the most improved player in the American Athletic Conference. And one of our other players was a top vote getter as well. So we felt like we were doing the job there. And really that's what we're selling, to recruits. That, we're going to promise you, a few things. One is, I'll never promise somebody a starting position. I'm always going to promise you it's going to be a fair fight, though, because as a player, that's all I ever wanted. And I was always beware of the guys telling me, hey, you're a starter, you're better than the guys, you're better than this guy, and this guy, because I'm saying, well, there goes me next year, So just tell me the truth, tell me it's a fair fight, and I'm good to go. The second part, two things that we really preach, that we're going to make you better, and we're going to have you prepared. If you have the ability to play at the next level, we'll get you there. And the other value is, because you're going to be playing virtually what's in an NBA system, that your evaluation is going to be very easy for NBA general managers. They're going to see you doing the things that they are looking to find out if you can do. So given a choice between you, who they know is running sets they run, and being in positions to do what they want to do, and defending with coverages that you need at the next level, then if they see you doing that versus somebody else that maybe doesn't do that, you're going to be a safer bet. And the other part of it is that, for guys, I can't get somebody drafted that doesn't deserve to be drafted, but I can get you moved around a couple of spots. Like I can make a phone call to somebody and say, hey, look, I know your system, what you run, and this guy's he'll be a perfect fit there. You should either move up or just be willing to take him. So we've had good traction. We have 4 freshmen who came in this year, and I'm real pleased with all of them in varying degrees. We think by the end of their tenure here, they're all going to be really good players. A local kid last year, Caleb Daniels for St. Aug, came in, and he's going to be terrific for us this year. I mean, he's got a body that's ready to go. He doesn't know, no learning curve there. He's been very, very impressive in all our practices and games. Unfortunately, the day before our opening game, he sprained his ankle, missed the first game. I didn't think there was any way he could play last night, but he did. We got him in some minutes, and he came through it pretty well. But I was thinking we wouldn't see him until this tournament in Jamaica. But typically, he's been on the floor, a very explosive player. Every other scrimmage and the practices, he's been scoring double digits every time out. So we just had him in limited minutes last night, but he played really well. We have two big kids that we got that are from South Sudan via the Patrick School in New Jersey. They won a state championship last year. One guy, Boya Koka, is 7 feet tall with a 7'7" wingspan. And he plays really hard. The effort level is great. Both kids are National Merit Honor students. Unfortunately for him, he hurt a knee about 2 weeks ago and played for the first time last night. He just came back. So again, playing from a high level has dropped down a little bit, but we put him in last night for 4 minutes. He had 5 rebounds, 1 block, and 1 basket, 1 for 1 from the field. So again, we'll bring him back along, but we feel pretty good about where he can go for us. The other guy named is Bull Zhang, who's 6'9", really good defender, more solidly built, and is going to have a low post game, as well as I think at some point in time he'll be able to shoot the ball from 3-point range. And then we got a 6'4" guard out of Toronto, Shakir Barrett, and Shaquan is probably our most creative passer, but as a typical freshman, very skinny, needs to put some weight on to be able to compete physically, defensively for us. But all 4 guys really like what we see. And we have 2 kids who transferred in last year. One, a local kid, Jordan Cornish, played at Brother Martin. And Jordan's done a nice job for us, been getting 16, 17 points a game at times for us, and playmaking, and been a really good fit starting for us at the 2-guard position. Last night he got a little bit of foul trouble. I think he had like 5 or 7 points, but overall, playing at the level that we hope he could play at. And then Samir Sahik, he's from Houston, transferred to us from Vanderbilt, and he's kind of a 4-5. He's a stretch type of player. If he's playing, he's not a great athlete, but he can shoot the 3-pointer. He's got a post game and real smart player. So against guys his size, he'll score in the post. If not, bigger guys, he'll go to the outside. He's been putting up great numbers for us. Last night, only 11 minutes, he had, I guess it was 12 minutes. He had 11 points and 6 rebounds. In our first game, he had 17 points, 14 boards. And throughout the exhibitions, and we were in Spain for 4 games this summer exhibition, he averaged a double-double for us. So all 6 of these newcomers are doing a nice job for us. And our expectations, last year we won 6 games. I'll be very disappointed if we don't win at least 15 games this year. And then the good news is that now we're kind of on equal footing with everybody else from the standpoint of recruiting. I mean, my first year I came in and I got 3 weeks. Most guys are already signed, early commits are already signed, so you got a later window. We got one player, a kid named Ray Onaembo, who's an African kid from Paris, France, who's about 6'3.5", point guard, that came in and started for us last year, did a really nice job for us. Really good defender, and offensively was solid. 3.5 to 4 assist to 1 turnover ratio last year, and an efficient shooter. This year he's probably gonna average double figures for us. He played for the French national team this summer as a starting point guard in their 20 and unders team, and he just turned 19 about 2 weeks ago. So we feel like we've got a really good base, and now we have really good traction, out to years 19, 20, and 21. We start recruiting that far out. But now, we get a chance to see these kids start now when they're, freshmen in high school, and create a relationship with them to where, you get this trust and you understand, and also they can see what we're selling and how we're coming through with it. Like, here are the things we're telling you, and they're accurate. You can see it by what guys are doing. And the thing that I tell most players when they come to visit, first of all, look, I'm here because I want to be here. I'm not here because I need to be here. I said I love what I'm doing, and I'm going to be totally transparent with you. I'm never going to tell a kid something that isn't true just to get him here, because that's never going to work. I always tell them, look, my vision for you has to be equal or greater than your vision for you, because if that's the case, everything's going to be great. Okay? And if other than that, if I'm showing you what we do and how we do it, and if it doesn't make sense to you, you shouldn't come here. And so far, I think it's been really positive. And the kids we have are, I think they, as I would tell a recruit, really the guys you need to talk to are the players. I mean, coaches can tell you everything, but the players really know what's happening behind the scenes. So, don't ever fail to talk to players and ask them, hey, the biggest questions I would say to you, does this coaching staff really work with us? Do you feel like they're improving us? Are they pushing us, doing the right things for us? And if that answer is no, you should never come here. I mean, and I'm totally confident that, that we are doing that job, and we've got a great track record there. And like I said, I feel really good about the direction of our program. And unfortunately, probably to really get to where we want to get to, it probably takes 3 or 4 years of of a whole recruiting cycle, and to kind of create the relationships with the AAU programs and high school coaches out there who get a feel for you. They get to see what you do and how you do it, and then they have an easier time with their kids saying, hey, no, look, I've dealt with these guys for 4 or 5 years. I've known them. Everything they've said has been true. They've come through and said, everything, and they're doing everything the right way. So you can have a comfort in believing them, which I think is, really important, to get that credibility. I'll open it up for any questions that anybody might have. Otherwise, I've enjoyed my time here.
Raise your hand.
Yes, sir.
How would you describe your offense and defense?
Well, first of all, our offense, we want to be in attack mode at all times. So we're trying to advance the ball, push the ball. We try to do is we're trying to flatten out a defense so that our trailers coming in behind the play can come into rhythm shots. But we're trying to get the ball down the floor, inside, into the post before a set defense can get there, where guys don't have to face double teams like you do sometimes in a half-court set. We'll run a lot of quick hitter pick and rolls. Again, when I talk to players, the best pick and roll says when you're not guarded. You're going to crack a guy open, or you're going to get a roll to the basket. So again, everything is we're trying to go downhill at all times. Our first 2 games, and we're supposed to win these first 2 games, as far as I'm concerned. I would have been very disappointed if we didn't win these first 2 games. Not saying they didn't have challenges. Both the teams we played had little tiny point guards that really could shoot the ball and were really fast. And so hard for one guy to guard those guys. Really more about a team. But we accomplished both pretty well. But defensively, we're a team that our basic is man-to-man. We want everybody to have good man-to-man principles with support. We will switch up we will play some half-court zone and full court and 3-quarter trapping at times, and depending on situations. So, I mean, my coaching philosophy is blackjack. Okay, so I play percentages. The one thing, if you look at my NBA career, you look at my numbers and wins and losses, you'll probably look at it and say, wow, that's just okay. I mean, I've coached some great teams, great organizations. My first job was with the Los Angeles Lakers. My first year I went to the NBA Finals. We lost to the Chicago Bulls in '91. We won Game 1 in Chicago on a Sam Perkins three-pointer. Game 2, though, my second best player, James Worthy, was injured, never to come back, and he was our guy to guard Michael Jordan. But if you look at the Lakers and the Trailblazers, were my 2 really good teams, we went really far. And then the 2 other teams were rebuilding programs, Milwaukee Bucks and the Clippers. The thing I always tell people is what you should look at my playoff record. I'm the only coach out there you can find that I've never lost a playoff series when I've been favored. And what I do is, if I was interviewing for a job, what I tell you is that my team is, first of all, I assume every coach goes in and tells an owner, hey, I'm the hardest working guy you've ever seen or you've ever met, okay? And my teams are really prepared. And I would say that as well, but they're only 24 hours in a day, so we all work 24 hours, okay? But the part about being prepared, I think I can prove, in the sense that when you shuffle that deck and play 82 games, I mean, it's a fair stacking. I mean, you could look back and say, okay, if there's injuries or something involved, maybe it needs to be restacked a little bit. But overall, in a 7-game series, very few people get upset in 7-game series. And in our case, in my case, in my staff's case, we've never been upset, but yet we've upset three pretty good coaches. Upset Rick Adelman, Jerry Sloan, and George Carl, and taken as an underdog Phil Jackson and Mike D'Antoni to 7 games. So what we tell you is that we're going to take away their best stuff, and they're going to have to beat us by doing something maybe they're not accustomed to doing. And if they do, they're just, I look at it like they're just that much better. So that's the philosophy, and that's our goal here too, is to be, to win all the games we're supposed to win, and then have a few surprises as well. Yes, sir. Well, I certainly like the food and the music. It's a good start for me, but reality is I came here to win. And I looked at the school and facilities. I've got a great practice facility. It's as good as any NBA teams. So I have a little bit of experience. I have 3 sons that play D1 basketball. My son Mike went to Duke, was a national champion, academic All-American at Duke. He played 16 years in the NBA. He still might play this year. He was a free agent. He didn't get the offers he wanted from the really good teams, and he won a state championship. He won an NCAA championship. He's interested in winning an NBA championship. If an opening comes up with a really good team, he'll play. He's working out, staying in shape. But in the meantime, I think he's having a pretty good time at home. He's got a 6-year-old girl, 5-year-old boy, and a 2-year-old boy. He took my 5-year-old grandson Jack down to Cameron Indoor Stadium on Saturday for Coach K's 1,000th victory, so it was kind of a fun experience for them. My middle son Baker, like I said, he won a national championship at Villanova. My other son James, he played at USC as a sports agent in LA. But for me, the Villanova and the Duke programs that won national champions, I know who they are, what they've done, and if they can do it, we can do it.
I was going to say this, if I remember, I'm sure about a couple of years ago when UNO was in the talk of trying to get to that spot in the playoffs, the whole city was like really excited. So we feel like we can take us there, hopefully get that,
Yeah, it's all about, hey, a coach is only as good as his players. It comes down to it. And last year, when we from a recruiting standpoint, we got right into it with, all the kids, I early on recognized the kids that weren't being recruited by the high-level teams. We first can go out in April. And then you play the July, tournaments, AAU tournaments. 3 weekends in July, we see these kids, and then, some of them blow up. I had 3 kids in particular that I, thought were being under-recruited, and I thought we had great chances for those kids. And the last week, I lose a guard to Duke, a center to Oklahoma, which is the Final Four team the year before, and then a power forward to Alabama. So, and I get it. They're 17-year-old kids in the press conference. I'm going to go to Duke or Tulane, Oklahoma or Tulane at this point, Alabama or Tulane, right? So I get it. I'm not sure those were the right places for those kids, that they were being told the right things maybe, but that's reality. So my next move was to rethink the process and say, okay, I get that. So I've recruited 5 kids. 4 of them are foreign, and 1's a local guy. And what you find is, other than Duke, Kentucky, maybe UCLA, Kansas, those are the names that everybody in the whole world that play basketball, they know. After that, I'm on equal footing or higher than those other guys, because the other thing those foreign kids know is they know NBA. And that's what they want to have an opportunity to do. So right now, I feel like we're in it down the road with a lot of really, high-level, top-level kids. And the other thing I'll tell you this is that, that I'm actually really proud of last year we raised our academic grade point average by 7 points. And it's all about, to me, expectations, my expectations, for the kids, and making sure they go to classes and staying on top of it. And it's been great. We had a grade point average last year of 2.8, and summer school was 3.2 and 3.3. And so we're getting, kids, and the only thing I've promised, everybody at Tulane is, hey, look, you're going to be proud of the kids I bring in here. They're going to be great kids. And if I make a mistake somewhere along the line, then we'll figure that out as well. But our kids, if you came to our gym, our kids are going to look you in the eye, come shake your hand, thank you for coming, and they're just terrific kids.
One more, time for one more.
Yes, sir.
Coach, with the FBI investigation into the recruiting landscape,
I'm clean.
with the benefit of coming in late, I suppose, what changes?
No, that's not the benefit of coming in late. Let's make sure we get that out of the way.
Didn't mean that in a bad way. What changes do you think that'll have, across the board?
I probably know better what goes on than most of the people out there, because for 30 years, 30 plus years, I've been dealing with guys who've come, well, first of all, I was recruited. I was a highly recruited player. And I'll tell you a little story. I was a senior in high school up from Brooklyn, New York, and I have 150 scholarship offers, and I'm playing in an Easter tournament, and a semifinal game's going on, and I'm sitting, and I won't actually use the name of the school because you would know it. I'm sitting there and next to this coach, and he says to me, "So Mike, what would it take to get you to go to our school?" And so my dad, the most money my dad ever made was like $17,000. And so I thought, like, okay, that's a big number right there. And so I said, $25,000 a year in a car. And he goes, "We could do that." Well, I about fell over. I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. He goes, oh yeah, me too. So look, guys have been paid forever. The thing about it now that's crazy is that most have been to the kids or their families. Today, you never know. You have no idea in some ways where the money's going, or you see the reports of how it comes out that flow of money from a shoe company. I was surprised. That's going to be potentially the tip of the iceberg, is that it was a shoe company that was delivering the money, and it's on their books. Well, you know what that means. From a standpoint, crossing state lines, wiring money. Al Capone got taken down for tax evasion. For the most part, any of these guys are involved in any of this stuff, that's the same issue. For anybody that thinks you don't have the potential to go to jail, you just committed tax fraud. So that's a major problem, and I would think that that's the biggest thing going on right now, particularly for the guys that were the executives of Adidas. One of those guys came from Nike as well. So, if he knows where the bodies, or if there are any bodies buried at Nike, and he knows where they are, that's going to be his get out of jail free, or not maybe get out of jail free, but lessen his sentence. And that'll be the biggest, blow to the sport in that case. But it's a tough thing to police. You have it's a big, it's a big money game. It's billions of dollars. That's kind of why, my feeling on collegiate sports is that they need to do more for the players, in terms of to where you don't have to really. It doesn't matter what you do. There's people, if they can gain an edge and cheat, they're going to do it. Just like in the business world, it's going to happen as well. But a lot of these kids are put in situations where they maybe have no choice but to take the money. The family has no money. It could be people that are sick. Although NCAA has tried to help that out with some hardship opportunities or whatever. But like I would say, why not be able to play for their plane fares? If some kid's coming from New York to come down here, that they can go home for Christmas, or you can bring them to school, send them home, to do different things like that. Or for the 20 hours a week that you work, okay, we're going to pay you a wage just like you or a normal student could go out and get a job, that it's like working for 20, you're getting 20 hours, so that they have some spending money so they can go out to dinner, go on a date. I mean, things of that nature, I think would be fair. Or the other way is that you could potentially keep kids longer in school and, have them continue on would be, if you're selling jerseys and things with their name on it, let them get a percentage of that. So basically kids can't say, well, you're paying that guy more than you're paying me. No, it's really about, well, he's a great player and the fans are buying his jersey and it's his, he's got a chance to stay around that way. It's kind of everybody's on equal footing. Play harder, play better, get appreciated, go out in the community, do charity work where people will say, hey, you're our guy. I mean, that's me though. I just, I just showed up here, so I've got some different thoughts that probably a lot of people don't want to hear. So again, thanks for coming today, and I appreciate it, and come see Tulane play. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike, very refreshing to have him here, and